Aloha and shalom. It is almost golden hour here. It's beautiful, it's quiet, it's peaceful. And although tomorrow is actually the first quarter moon and solstice, I felt the call to do it now. The energy is always building a couple days before and still dwindling a couple days after. So we are already feeling this powerful incoming energy. It's already with us. So I suppose it's this feeling that drove me to do this a bit early and connect with you all here now. Thanks for joining me live. As usual, I'm tuning in from the amazing Sedona, Arizona. Such a special place. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Where in the world are you? Right now, as we always do every week, we're creating a global network of light. Again, we've been doing these every week for almost 4 years now. Pretty epic. So an amazing community has built around these activations. For those of you who are new, hello, aloha. These videos actually have nothing to do with the moon. The moon is a measurement of time for us so that we can gather 4 times every month. And the moon is always reflecting something much deeper that is going on within each one of us and within all things. So right now, the first quarter, what is it about? Last week was the new moon. It was a new beginning. Now we're 1 week in. Last week was very powerful. The new moon was all about once and for all making the changes that we need to make, or creating the plan at least, right, to execute. Making those changes we need to make to start a new beginning. To finally do those things we had been putting off that was going to really start us off on a whole new path. So now we're 1 week into this process. And let's see, where are we? Again, go ahead and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. It's so amazing to see you all tuning in from all over the world. I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle all of the energies into the deck. Go ahead and let go of whatever it is you've been carrying all day today. Whether worries or excitement over something, let's just set it aside for a moment. Let's set our individual stories aside for a moment, and let's meet in the place where we are one. The one heart. The one universal mind. And let's open up to receive the one message that underlies all stories we are telling ourselves right now inside of our heads, good or bad. Let's meet there in the world of archetypes, in the world of foundational and elemental wisdom. What is the meeting grounds? It starts with the heart, so let's meet there in the ever-present now. The limitless, infinite expansiveness of this space where we are one. Setting aside all stories. Open here now. Now I invite you to use your imagination, because all is mind, right? So I invite you to use your imagination to connect with not only those who are live right now, but with all of those who are going to receive this message whenever they do, even if someone stumbles upon this video 5 years from now. Let's connect in the knowing that this message is going to be powerful, and when we apply it as one, it's increasingly more powerful. And then you can go ahead and see everybody holding hands in a circle around the world, encompassing it, or you can see yourself connecting with this deck or the archetypal wisdom within it. You could see yourself sitting here with me right now, or see us all popping up, right, like teleporting and sitting here now together in these trees in Sedona, Arizona. Okay, thank you archetypes, faces of the one, in advance, for showing us exactly what it is we need to see right here, right now. All right, so what is the progress we've made in 1 week? What is the progress we've made in 1 week? What's the current challenge and potential block? And where are we headed by the time of the full moon next week? Okay, so we pulled 3 cards. First card is, what is the progress that we've made in 1 week? Who is the face representing this progress that we've made this week? Okay, here is the message for one and all. Starting with 4 of Wands. And if you think back over the last month of activations, you'll know this is very significant. In regard to the progress we made in 1 week, last week was all about that new beginning and knowing we need to finally make a plan and act on it to initiate this new beginning. Well, this card as a response to that is showing us that we have successfully formed a strategy. 4s, you want to think of the Emperor, aka the Sovereign, number 4 of the trump cards, the major arcanum. 4 is all about form, strategy, providing the structure for the spirit within it to thrive. And this is Wands, 4 of Wands, so it's fire, it's the suit of spirit. It's saying that everything that you've been doing this past week, up until Solstice, has been amazing. Congratulations. You have truly moved up to a space where you are now able to act on a plan that is stable, that is sustainable, that is built upon truth, the truth of your spirit and your authenticity, your path. You did it. You know what you have to do now. There's no denying it. This is a message saying the plan that you have formed this past week is ready for you to take action upon it, and know that it will be sustainable. You will be successful. You will be prosperous if you follow this plan and stay true to this plan, not compromising aspects of your plan for temporary or material gain. Stick with the truth of who you really are, of the plan that you've recently formed, which reflects the light of your soul and your soul's mission here now. This is what we've done this week. We've created a strategy that is really going to work this time. And then what's the challenge as we move ahead from this week till next week, right? The full moon. What's the challenge? Okay, we've got the plan. What's the next step? There's our major arcanum card popping up. The Devil, aka the Black Magician, was what it was called in Egypt. Okay, a lot of people are scared of this card. If you're scared of this card, you should probably ask me about my tarot class. They're recorded classes. They're all on the computer. Awesome. And I promise my classes will give you a totally fresh perspective on the cards that you're most scared of, especially this one. Okay, so we formed this plan, great. But remember, it's fire, it's spirit, so it's the plan that's still in the unseen realm or the astral realm. It's not yet materialized or actualized. So our biggest challenge, our next challenge, is breaking free from the shackles of the material prison that we created as a reflection of our old lives and our old plan and our own strategy. Okay, so it looks like we've done this, we created the strategy, and now it's time to cut the cords on all those things that are keeping us shackled, chained. Because it's one thing to have the plan, it's another thing to act on it. And the first steps we are being shown right now, clearer than ever before. I mean, this wisdom lies within us always, so it's just coming up and out to remind us that we know the first step to actualizing this new plan is cutting the cords of the old one. The devil represents the prison that we put ourselves in when we allow our thoughts to become manipulated or perverted, our definitions of who we are, what our reality is, and what the elements themselves are. When we pervert the definitions of these things, self, reality, the elements, then we create a manifestation, a life in reflection of these perversions and manipulations. And essentially that is the prison. And if you recall, after 15, the devil, comes 16, the tower. The people are falling from the tower, but is that a bad thing, or are they really being liberated? Free falling. Free. because this is an illusion. We trap ourselves. Check it out. The devil is putting the fire on his ass. He's lighting his ass on fire because the devil, or those things that we do in the dark, are only there to serve our growth. In hindsight, we look back at our mistakes as lessons. It speeds up our growth. The devil is associated with the heat of the reverberatory furnace, like turning up that heat and creating the alchemy, speeding up the process. So in order to carry out this plan, we're going to have some untangling to do, some cutting of cords, letting go of what used to fulfill our desires, when our desires were not yet purified, clarified, redirected. Okay, so all of this in our lives right now is going to be whatever is a manifestation of your old desires that are now falling away and being transformed. So what that means is cutting the cord to jobs that you know aren't serving, relationships that you know aren't serving, selling or giving away things that you no longer use. And this is a very important one. Whatever is in your material reality, be it a person, a job, a car, rollerblades, a pencil box. I mean, really anything, thing. And yes, people are things as far as material reality. Whatever is in your material world, on this material plane before you, should be sacred to you, should be useful as far as the highest plan. So I mean relationships and everything you own, everything you use, everything you touch, everything you give your energy to on this physical plane should have such a sacred purpose. And you should have an awareness around the sacred purpose of each of the things and the people and the places that you come in contact with, because each one is a ritual, an opportunity for you to feed those things that are unseen, those sources in the spiritual realm that we can't see with our human eyes. And so if we don't use certain things anymore, or we don't really speak to certain people anymore, for example, if we don't speak to certain people anymore, we need to have clear boundaries in our relationships, right? We need to have clear definitions of who we are to the people in our lives and who they are to us. Because otherwise we're just wasting time maintaining relationships, holding on by a thread, when it would be more efficient and just better for the one if you were to let go. You'd have that much more energy to feed to those relationships that are serving the highest. So that's just one example as far as how this plays out in relationships right now. And then as far as things, this is so important. If you're not using things, or even if you use them, but you've grown more detached or maybe less grateful for certain things, you got to check yourself and ask, should I, in this situation, right? If you're remaining aware, you're going to be doing this process all day as you move through your reality. And every time you touch something or use something or work with something on this physical plane, you're going to want to ask yourself, is this sacred to me, what I'm doing? Is this purposeful? Because that's what gives it life, and not just it, me, life. Spirit is what animates. So if I don't feel that spirit around something I'm doing or something I'm using or someone I'm communicating with, it's not worth it. Or you might say, I should have more gratitude for this process, and I don't want to get rid of the thing, or I don't want to cut the relationship off. I want to actually give it more of my energy, and I want to grow my gratitude for this thing. Right? And so that's what we have to ask ourselves as we move through our material reality right now. Everything we use, everything we touch, anything, situation, or person that we're giving our energy to, we want to just reevaluate and ask, have I been grateful enough for this? Why or why not? Is it time to be more grateful, or is it time to take my energy back, create a boundary, consciously close a cycle, and redirect that energy to the proper channels where it's going to serve the one in better ways? So that's what this looks like right now. We made the plan in the spirit realm, in the unseen realm, and it's a good one. It's a dang good one. And we're not going to be ready to live it until we get through this first challenge and step of cutting the cords on those behaviors, those relationships, those things, those habits, those addictions that are no longer serving us. We can't live in this world still chained and then be free to experience this sort of victory that comes with the Four of Wands. In order to carry out our new plan, we have to cut out the old ways. We have to give up old desires, what used to feed our egos so much that we now see is meaningless toward the plan. It might feel good still. It might still seem like a good idea to give your energy to a certain person, a certain job, a certain project, a certain addiction. Yeah, that might still feel really good. In fact, it might feel better than ever. But you bet your ass that the greater the temptation, the greater the potential for your growth. If you can say no. If you can choose in that moment to remain aware and transmute. The greater the temptation, the greater the gift if you can resist. It's the whole reason why we're here is to build up this willpower, this strength of will to be able to consciously redirect it. Not only, for our small plans, but for the great plan. That's why we're here. Your addiction, if you satisfy it, may feel good. That relationship that is not really for the highest good, but it still feels good, that feel good feeling, it's temporary. So would you rather have temporary satisfaction or sustainable, long-lasting success and prosperity? And not just for you, for all of us, and for your kids, and for your children's children and their children, and for the next 7 generations and beyond. So that's something that can really help us as we move through this week of finally cutting the cords to those things that fed our egos in the wrong way, no matter how good it feels, especially when it feels super good, to use it as a trigger to bring in your conscious awareness to say, no, I know what this temptation is. By the way, you guys, 15, when you reduce it to a single digit, is 6. The 6 of the trump cards is the Lovers, also known as the 2 paths. So the devil is just representing taking that lower road and learning our lessons so that we can return to the higher one, the royal path. So it's all about our decisions right now, and we can decide to take the shackles off. They're actually loose. We can take it off ourselves and set ourselves free of this prison, which is only a reflection of our own perversions and manipulations of our own thoughts. No one else's fault. Okay, and where are we headed by the time of the full moon? So next week will be the full moon. We will have already drawn in all of that solstice energy. And the great star that is appearing for the first time in 800 years, having received that light, what will we come to next week? What will be revealed? Six of Cups. The first thing I see loud and clear is this message of keep going right now, push through, especially when you feel afraid, stick to your plan, because remember, it's righteous and true, and it's going to be a great plan. It's going to be, sorry guys, my battery is going to die. It's going to be a stable plan. Don't give in to your fears or your doubts. Walk with certainty, walk with faith, and know that whoever you're afraid of hurting, with this process, or whatever you're afraid of letting go of, you're afraid of hurting yourself, if you're afraid of letting go of addiction, you're afraid of letting go of those things that have brought you comfort. When you feel afraid, remember that your plan is going to work. Your plan is going to work. Stick with it. Don't give up. You will find peace. You will find more peace on the other side. Remember in those moments when you're afraid to give up your comfort, the fulfillment of your addictions, your desires, your attachments. Remember, the harder it is, the greater the gift on the other side. And if you're afraid there are going to be hard feelings, if you're afraid there's going to be sorrow or further attachment, grief, set it aside. Have no fear. You are going to be in more peace than you've been in for a really long time. You're going to experience more peace in your heart, in your reality, in your relations, with family, friends, strangers, with yourself, than you have in a very long time. Remember why you're doing this. Remember why you even constructed this plan, this strategy. Because things haven't been working out, have they? I mean, in regard to the plan of the Most High, of course, they're always working out in divine order. But we are here to refine, to expand, to progress spiritually and psychologically. And so we have the ability to experience a newfound peace, a new way of being that's rooted in the heart, if we stick to our plan. Stick to the plan, stick to the plan. When you feel fears or doubts and you want to stay here, you want to stay with your mistakes, remember, it's not sustainable. You can only hide for so long. By now, we already know this. It couldn't be any more clear. We already know what we have to do, the cords we have to cut in order to get to the other side. 6 of Cups. It's all about exchanging from the heart, giving and receiving from the heart, from a place of purity, from a place of vulnerability, transparency, authenticity. We can't be there until we cut the cords on this, because the reality we've been living in is not the clearest reflection of who we really are. We have been unable to communicate from this sweet place because we've been choosing to live in addiction, attachment. And so when we can be freed from those attachments and addictions and things that were bringing temporary satisfaction, but long-term distress, when we can break free from that, we can live in a truly peaceful and content way, right here, right now. So don't worry, it might feel tough right now. Endings come before the new beginnings. But know it's all going to be worth it. It's going to be so sweet. Thank you guys so much for opening up this week's portal with me. Super powerful first quarter solstice. So precious, this energy. I'm sending love to you all over the world, from this magical land of Sedona, Arizona. If you enjoy this style of tarot, please reach out to me. We have an entire course already recorded on the major arcanum cards, the trump cards, 0 through 22 actually, and each class is about 60 to 90 minutes long. Please reach out to me if you want to learn more, and it's totally on your own time. You just receive the recordings. And for those of you who reviewed my book, thank you so much. I'm loving reading your reviews. I'm loving hearing about your journeys as you walk through the activations and the initiations that are written in the pages of my book. For those of you who don't know about my book, it's called The Royal Path. Feel free to ask me any questions about it. Reach out. I do also have a private group on Facebook called The Royal Path. I also have a private group on Facebook called Shabbat Crew, and that's where I share a lot on Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism and the weekly Torah portions. And we shared a lot about Hanukkah. That was super magical this year. A lot of you never celebrated Hanukkah in your lives, and you joined us this year, and for that I am forever grateful. So thank you all so much. Enjoy this magical evening wherever you are in the world, or day wherever you are in the world. And there's the mountain glowing in all of her glory. I'll see y'all on the other side.